Grand Rising. Why some need me to be wrong. True Brit news. I'm going to put ARC in there because there is a renaissance going on. But in terms of it forming into a coalition or putting a coalition together about that, well, I'm still interested in doing it, I suppose, but I'm the only one I feel. I haven't found the tribe yet. Let me put it that way. There's no tribe that's thinking in those terms, in those ways, as far as I can see from my experience. I'm not saying it's not out there, but I'm not coming across it. Okay, so I want to begin this post really with a bit of a, I'm going to describe as I'm having a moan, I'm upset, I'm a bit vexed, a bit fucked off, right? Two things I've done it. First one I'm going to begin with is this. Someone asked my mum, I'm looking for this person because I'm going to find them. Well, it was a recent immigrant to this country. No, it wasn't. It was somebody that migrated here then in the 70s, maybe late 60s, 70s, right? Asking my mum. I think it was her. Well, anyway. Asked my mum when she came to this country, when she came here in 1953, whether or not, so I'm just going to correct across this road too, still Sunday morning, it's a bit cooler today, I've been playing a game recently, with myself when I'm walking about the place. I look into people's cars, look and see the drivers. I'm looking at it's not actually the ethnicity, but I'm looking at the skin colour. And I'm assuming the nationality after that, right? And I noticed that I can go 3 or 4 cars before I see someone that looks English, white, European English. 3 or 4 cars go by, where it's clearly they're not, and it just makes me wonder. It never used to be like that. And also they're driving around in some flash cars, and I'm not begrudging anybody, being able to earn a living, get the best out of life. But when there was so much poverty and there's so many people saying how difficult life is, inflationary costs of everything, and the breakdown in law and order, all sorts of, it just makes me wonder. It's an interesting statistic that I've developed in my own mind about the numbers of native, that's born here before fucking 19, I don't know. But the demographic has definitely changed quite significantly. Even with those people that I perceive to be, white-skinned English, actually a lot of them aren't. Polish, Estonian, Romanian, Ukrainian. There's some other Eastern European folk that are here that we seem to get overlooked in the migration, immigration, illegal and otherwise narrative that has emerged over the last 2 years. I'm going to say it's been building. So what's pissed me off? So this person asked my mum when she came here in 1953 whether or not she was given a mobile phone and put up in a hotel. Well, I was fucking furious. I'm a bit. I understand from my mum that she didn't smash me in the face. Got a big birthday coming up in a minute, you know, which marks her 70th year in this country, 71st year actually. So the idea of my mum being given. Let me tell you a story about the early days of my mum's experience, and it's not just her, but all of that Windrush generation. Every Friday after work, not all the time, but a lot of the time, early doors, before she was married, every Friday she would have to pack up her bags, put a suitcase on her head, this is how she described it, and go and find another accommodation. Yeah? And it's not just my mum. There are hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, or tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that had that experience coming to the UK, migrating to the UK. And I don't hear any of, I don't hear it, I don't see it, I don't, from your more recent migrants that have come to the country in the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 fucking years, but definitely the last 5 years, I'm not hearing anything about anybody walking around. I don't see anybody walking around with suitcases on red, you know, and with families sometimes as well, being moved. You know, having to move every Friday to seek some accommodation because, for whatever reasons, right? People were just being bitches back then. Landlords were being, see you next Tuesdays. They would be saying, see you next Tuesday. And that's why the community developed things like partner very, very quickly, you know, to raise the money so that you can get a fucking mortgage, you can get your own house. And when they did get a house, that's why some of them were packed up early doors with lots and lots of black families in them. You know, we had to look after ourselves because the state wasn't doing fuck all. And the people that had the landlords that were kicking around at the time, which happened to be, a lot of them happened to be Asian as well. Not a lot of them, some of them, were being bitches too. So that's the first thing. That really irritated me. So, and it concerns me a little bit because there is a younger generation of Caribbean children of Caribbean descent, descendants of the Windrush generation, who don't know this, what it is that I'm talking about, how it was for that Windrush generation when they first got here. Ain't got a clue. And also the migrant communities that are here now, setting up shop, setting up homes. Not only do they not know, they don't give a fuck either. Yeah. Also, the people that lived through, the white people that lived through the Windrush years till now, also have said, oh fuck all. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about it. It's as though there's an attempt to erase a significant world cultural event in that migration, what we're describing as the Windrush, and what we're not doing. Nobody knows about it, and when they do know about it, well, the first thing they start doing is moaning about the things that we've had to endure whilst being here. For my mum, I'm going to talk about her 70 years here, having to and being encouraged to, invest in this country, to build this country to what it has become. Before COVID, I'm going to say, BC. And for it all to be, to use a Boris Johnson term, spaffed up the wall. For some other that don't know anything about the culture in the history of these islands, and well, actually, it's for those people that do know about the history to watch it get spaffed up the wall, and for it to be exploited by people who don't know the history, don't give a fuck about the history, and are interested in the money. Okay, the money that they can make, and the resources that they can excavate, take, and fucking spend it, go back to their own countries of origin, or do whatever, you know, at the cost of the people who built this shit. Okay, the indigenous and the aboriginal and the natives that have been here for, oh, I don't know, the last 400 years. Then I'll be generous and say that. Okay, that would consider themselves English. There was a second thing, actually. I can't remember what it is. I'm too pissed off. But like, I'm going to bring that, link that to a recent occurrence in the middle of the night. I became aware somehow that Donald Trump authorised the bombing of Iran, and everybody's woke up with the shits this morning. Okay, and I suppose, just linking it back to the story that I've told about my mum coming here and whether or not she was given a mobile phone and accommodation and put up in a hotel. Just to be clear, she wasn't. Not by fucking any means stretch of the imagination. So, and then to hear that some geezer's gone round to bomb Iran this morning, some nuclear facilities. You know, I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing history repeating itself in many ways, really, because that's going to create the situation again where people, with a mass migration, you know, from those war-torn environments, all those places that have been bombed, and where they're going to go. The only safe place, as it seems, is the West. So, you know, you have to sort of say, I'm just going to get into position, and I can't, you know. It's not by accident. It's by design. So, but the design is not what it appears to me through my eyes. How can you be talking about peace one minute, want to be the president of the peace, you're going to sort it all out in a minute, and then start bombing people? Now, I'm going to do some research this afternoon because it smells funny to me. I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I'm not saying it's a movie or if it's a movie with real life consequences. If it's a pantomime, it's not fucking funny. Some very, very bad actors in it. And if it's just a piece of theatre, why create a piece of theatre that? Why not promote or create pieces of theatre that are wholesome, that don't have lots of violence in it, and killing and deception and espionage, and you know, all that stuff that puts you on the end of your seats. I'm not saying you can't have it in, you know, sit at the end of your seats types films, but like, when you think about it, when you look at it, it's not good shit that they're passing off as entertainment. It's clearly programming and an indoctrination disguised as entertainment. Anyway, how long have I done here? 14 minutes. Okay. I might want to leave it there. Just to prattle back onto, just to say that there seems to be, in the month of June, lots of talk and activity and events that are connected to Windrush all of a sudden. I want to give people the heads up that are involved in this, not involved in this, who it's applicable to. The Windrush compensation scheme is an adjunct, or it's a breakaway from this notion of reparations. And reparations are connected to, or for, reparations for slavery and the slave trade, and the transatlantic slave trade in particular. But I might say a bit more about that later on. But anyway, there's lots of activity going on this weekend, because slavery and slavery, there's slavery in history, there's been slavery and slavery. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. There's lots of activity going on this week, in the month of June, which I'm curious about, and I've been doing some research into that. I just want to go back to this bombing thing. On the surface, it is what it is, or what it appears to be. But a lot of this, when you look to history, look back at history about, and get an idea of how Iran came into existence. Iran is a state. In 1939, that came into existence about 1970 odd, I think. Before that, I'm going back a little bit further. Before the Second World War, that area was still considered to be part of the Byzantine or the Ottoman Empire, and there was a Shah in there. I was going to keep it like that. There was a Shah of Iran. Shah is like a king, or an emperor type thing. Not quite as high as an emperor, I don't think, but it's a man of the people, so come from a royal bloodline, but not one of these, but possibly one of the, connected to the royal bloodlines, the 13 bloodlines that are fucking up the world at the minute. So what we, in my view, what we're witnessing is the state of Iran being returned to its former glory, if you will. Its former, going back to its part of its former kingdom. When it was in charge of its own sovereignty, which has been usurped by a religious geezer called the Ayatollah. Now, you have to remember, there'll be some on here, I suppose, that might be old enough to remember, when the Shah of Iran was overthrown and replaced by this, under the guise of some kind of revolution. But the revolution was set up by the West. And just to say, the UK, I was watching a bit of news before I came out, the BBC is sort of saying, oh no, the UK government has said categorically that they had nothing to do with the strike on Iran. That's right, you're all fucked up now, when it's quite clearly you were involved in the America's not on its own. At the very least, it's a proxy for the US and for Israel. Thank you. Quite clearly. So, and actually you can sort of see all the proxy governments are. Shall I tell you how you find out about who the proxy governments are, particularly if you're in the UK and probably the US and probably Canada, is you look at the different nationalities that have come into your country, into the UK, into Canada, into Australia, into right, and have a look at where they've come from. Those are your proxies. You won't find many Russians amongst them, will you? You know. And that's about it, really. You've got everybody else setting up shop in your countries. These are the proxies, and the reason why I'm saying that is that they have to be allowed in by your governments. So that means they have arrangements and contracts for them to be moved out of their respective countries to go to these Western countries. It's not difficult to work that one out. Well, it is actually. So I'm wondering whether or not, I'm not wondering, I get a sense that this is all part of dismantling Iran and returning it to Persia or whatever it was called before. You know, getting out, taking out the leaders, because again, the proxy countries, they've got proxy governments in them. So you get rid of the old and put your own shit in there, put your own systems in there. You know, in this instance, it was the Ayatollah. You know, and he's also the supreme leader, I think, of Islam. You know, that he's the chief spiritual leader. So he's not just a political leader; he's a spiritual leader of that country. And now that spiritual leader, again, I mean, you didn't look at his features, for God's sake. Just because he's got a turban on, I mean, for me, he's got European features. He's got Mongolian features. He's quite clearly of European stock. Skin colour, all of it. You know, I'm not being racist or anything like that. It's just fucking facts and observation. You know, it just I see the game that's being played. I see the game that's been played for centuries. And at least for the last 80 years, and it's time. As I say, I'm going to link that to Jisara Nasara. Jisara Nasara is about returning or to the world to a sovereign state and operating under common law. That's what the intention of Jisara Nasara is, and I can see that being played out now. But in order for that to happen, you have to take down the dirty players and the dirty actors. The imposters, the going across here to this bit here. Clean house before you start again, kind of thing. They've got to be rooted out. Otherwise, just like parasites, they're going to latch onto something else if you don't get rid of the whole fucking nest. They've got to go. You know, so it's forcing people in the Middle East, as an example, to say, look, we're not having this. You know, and the interesting thing about all of this for me is that, you know, they've got a long list of things that are to be achieved. You know, I was listening to the Iranian minister as his response to the strikes that were made on him and the ones that, you know, he's sort of laying it out, and he's laid out that, and that it's clear who's involved, you know, whose hands are in this and what it means for the Americans to do what it is. And then, you know, his betrayal, by doing so, he's betrayed the will of the people. Something like 60%, 70% of Americans don't want it, you know, and he was voted in on that premise. No more wars, no more getting the soldiers killed, no more citizens, American people going to fucking fight forever wars all over the shop, you know, and people stop taking the piss out of the country, you know, and dealing with the veterans and your homeless, and dealing with the migrant population, or an illegal migrant population that is causing a load of fucking problems, you know. But I think, anyway, I'll come back to that later. So, where am I? 24 minutes now. A bit pissed off, so I've ranted on for 24 minutes. Okay, listen, I'm going to leave it there. Just if I can finish that off. So that's what might be being played out, and I'm wondering if that the bombings, although Trump's said what he said, that he's not on his own. There are lots of bad actors and players that are still floating around who still want war. There are warmongers all over the shop, pretending not to be warmongers, and people are fighting for their lives, their political lives, because they've been warmongers and pretending not to be. So I think that what was I going to say about that? That's what Trump's probably facing, is that the neocons, the people who want war, even though they may be Republicans, it's like, you know, the Christian right in America. What are they? Christian right. Were heavily pro-Israeli. Very heavily pro-Israel. And a lot of the Christian right have voted for Donald Trump. So, like, a lot of them have woken up to what's going on, you know, and putting America first, and are not happy with what Trump's done. But also, they're having to come to terms with why it is that they've been supporting Israel, or the Christian right, that is, all this while. You know, it's not just you know, these last 18 months. It's not been the last 4 years under the Biden administration, under the Bush and Clinton administrations. They were pro-Israeli and supporting bombings. They supported Iraq. So people are having to eat shit over that now, because, you know, it was bullshit, and we're about to walk into the bullshit again. So till the next time, may your ERP and your spirituality remain strong. You got